So weird. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Christi Lukasiak. Thank you for hanging out with me today. This is Christi's couch. If you've ever listened to my podcast, which you totally should, this is my couch. This is Christi's couch. But today, this is the couch that I will be spilling lots of tea on because this is a really fun video that I am excited to share with you. So before we get to that, let's just take care of all of the basic necessary YouTube business. If you're not subscribed to my channel, totally subscribe, turn on your post notifications so that you know when I go live. And I go live every Friday afternoon. So we're gonna have some fun today because this video is all about things that you don't know about me. I realized that because I was on television for a really long time, people always feel like they know us. And yes, you know us for sure. You probably know like the things I said and like our quotes and all of that better than I do, but there's a lot of things that you don't know because you're only seeing like an edited 43-minute version of whatever went on in a week that we probably filmed like 70+ hours of. I thought it would be really fun today if I did a video and I shared 10 things that you don't know about me. And I was trying to think of things that like I don't really talk about on socials, and I was like, well, I don't know. Like I feel that I'm pretty open and I share a lot, but as I started making the list, I know that there are some really good juicy ones on here. There's a few in here that I definitely think you're gonna be interested in. So make sure you watch this video the whole way through because you're definitely not gonna wanna miss them. All right, we're gonna start off with number 10. I actually did an entire video about this, but if you didn't watch it, I think it is worth mentioning. My very first job out of college, I was a stockbroker. Yes, me, big mouth, not afraid to have a street fight, Christi Lukasiak was a stockbroker right out of college. I'm secretly smart. I know you don't know that, but I'm secretly smart. So once I graduated, I decided, I have a degree in marketing, but I decided that I wanted to go into finance. So I studied for my Series 7, Series 63. I actually have my Series 6 as well. And not only did I pass, if I can brag a little bit, I got really high scores. That's like my big flex. But I honestly didn't do much with it because I hated it. I hated it, wasn't for me. I quit after a year, but I have taken all of that knowledge that I learned that first year, all that financial goodness, and now I teach lots of people great things that they can apply to their lives about money in my adulting program and also in all of the presentations that I do with sororities. And I also have a money course, like a totally separate money course that I teach young people all about money. The stockbroker thing was good. And then here's some other weird facts. I was a college recruiter. I got my degree in interior design. So yes, I've had a million different careers, but it's weird because they've all led me to exactly what I need to know in order to do what I do now. Don't be afraid to make a career change. That's the takeaway from that. That brings me to number 9. Something that most of you don't know is that in season 1 of Dance Moms, I actually still owned my business. I was a business owner. I owned a children's fitness franchise, and we didn't really talk about it on the show because that wasn't like who I was. That wasn't my character, so to speak. Yes, I owned a business, but like my storyline really wasn't me trying to, you know, juggle my business and Chloe. My storyline was more about like my mom and like all the struggles I went through growing up, where Holly was more struggling with being that working mom. Even though I was a working mom, you just can't feature everything about every person. Season 1 of Dance Moms, I actually was trying to run a business as well as film this crazy new show that I was part of. Sometimes I would be like super stressed out on camera, and I was more stressed out because one of my coaches wasn't like showing up for work that day, as opposed to like Chloe didn't get a solo. But who knows, I was probably upset about that as well. So yes, I owned a children's fitness franchise, and we went into like daycares and nurseries, and we taught little bitty ones basically gym and health. Like all of the kids in my program knew, you know, pectorals, cardiac, quadriceps, trapezius. They knew all of their muscles. It was the cutest thing ever, and that was a lot of fun. I did sell it going into season 2 because I just couldn't keep up with all of it. I know, I was a business owner. Actually, actually, if you go back and you watch the episode where we did the mom's dance, I'm wearing a shirt in rehearsals. That was my business. That's an Easter egg for you. Number 8. This is like a weird reveal, I feel like, because I don't talk about these things, but honestly, if you watch the show, you know that I don't have a close relationship with my family. I actually have 2 younger sisters, which you would never know because without getting into it, and I don't want a lot of judgment because I don't want people without knowing the whole story, I don't have a relationship with my mom or my sisters. I have 2 younger sisters. Weird, right? I know. All right, this is a weird one, but I have talked about this one on Instagram a little bit. I can't swim. I know, it's such a weird thing to say, especially because Clara is a swimmer. She did not get that from her mama, I promise you. I can't swim. Now, yes, I can like float. I can tread water a little bit, but let's just say if I was dropped in the middle of the ocean, I would drown for sure. I could never make it. The best I could do is like float on my back for a few minutes. I never really learned to swim when I was little, and I'm really afraid of water. It's just not my thing. Like if I go in the ocean, I'm not going any higher than my chest, and honestly, I won't get in the ocean if it's like dark. I'll only get an ocean that I can see in because I'm really afraid of water. It's not like a snob thing, like I'm only getting in blue water. I am afraid of water. I think, and I don't know if it was shown, but I definitely talked about it. When we were in Lake Tahoe and we went on the boat, I was really afraid of the water. So I don't know if that aired, but I was nervous about being on the boat because I can't swim and I'm afraid of the water. So can't swim. I know, weird, right? And my kids are always like, you can swim, just jump off the rock. I will jump off the rock in my pool, sort of, but I like hurry up and get to the side. I don't like not being able to touch. I can like doggy paddle a little bit. Number 6, I love reading. I know, Chloe is like the reader online. She talks about how much she loves books and reading, but I actually loved reading so much as a kid. I don't read as much as I wish I did, but I definitely read a lot. I mean, I've read a million books. I'm mostly into true crime, I would say, if I'm reading. I mean, I like a fun book sometimes. I guess it depends on my mood, but I love reading. And so it's not surprising that Chloe loves reading so much and Clara loves reading. Mark is also a big reader, and I love the library. I do, I love the library. Haven't been to the library in a long time, but when I was little, I remembered how much I absolutely just loved going to the library. This is kind of a sad story, but I'll tell you. So when I was 7, maybe someday I'll do a video about this, my grandparents' house burned down, and it was a horrific fire, like horrific. We almost died. It was in December. The night before the fire happened, I was reading a library book. It was Ramona Quimby, age 8, I'll never forget, hardcover. And I put the book on the back of the living room couch because I was watching a TV movie with my grandma, probably true crime. And we went to bed, the fire happened, you know, we lost everything. It was terrible. And I remember as a child that I went to the librarian and I was so nervous to tell her that I couldn't return my book because it had burned in the fire. And I was so upset because I really took great pride and I respected library books so much. I'm not laughing at it, but I think back to that little girl. I'm like, oh God, it was so endearing. And I remember going up to the librarian and I was so worried. And I said, you know, I will pay back this book. You know, I'm so sorry I can't return it. Our house burned down. And I'll just never forget her kindness. She looked at me and she's like, honey, you don't have to pay for it. She's like, we'll replace it. And it was such a relief to me because I was so worried about, you know, not returning this library book. I know, sad little Christy, huh? All right, now speaking of little Christy, here's another fact that you never knew about me. I honestly didn't really even remember this, but a couple of years ago, it was definitely after Dance Moms, I found my diary from when I was 8. First of all, that thing is hysterical. I need to go back and read some things. I had like a crush on a boy in the neighborhood. It was very dramatic because I started it when I was 8 and I think I had it until I was like around 11 because I would write in it once a year. But in the back of the diary, I had like what I want to be when I grow up. Are you ready for what number 1 is? I wanted to be a dancer at Disneyland. I don't know why I thought that. Oh, wait, I vaguely have a memory. I think there was a TV show, like a special that came on, and it was like the Disneyland dancers. It was like in the 80s, and they performed. And I think that that's when I was like, oh, you can be a dancer at Disneyland? And to me, that was like the most exciting thing, because you could dance with, like, you know, the characters. And I wasn't a dancer, which actually we'll talk about in my biggest reveal, which is number 1. We'll get there. But what a funny thing. I wanted to be a Disneyland dancer. I never fulfilled my dream, but maybe I lived vicariously through my daughter who danced on TV. I don't know. I'm just saying. Okay, the next one, I think a lot of you probably know this about me. It's a weird one. And let me explain before you think I'm mocking anyone, because I am not. I am a Ted Bundy expert. I know that sounds really weird, right? Here's the thing. I am really obsessed with true crime, as is every woman on the planet, I feel like. I have been obsessed with true crime since I was a little kid, but I read my first book about Bundy probably about 20 years ago. It was The Stranger Beside Me by Ann Rule. I think everyone's read that book. But I was so afraid of Bundy because he seemed so normal. I know now he's not, all of the things, but he seemed, reading this book and everything about him, he seemed quote unquote normal. And the women that he preyed on seemed like they were young. I mean, there was just, I don't know, there's a lot of things about him that made him, to me, the scariest serial killer. So then I read like every book there was ever to know about him. I've listened to every single YouTube video of his interviews in jail. I've seen every documentary. I literally know everything about him. And I jokingly say he's my serial killer boyfriend, but I don't mean because I like him. It's because I'm so scared of him. And Mark has told me that if he ever dies and I get remarried, he's going to get Ted Bundy to help him haunt me together, which is really rude. And then back in my old house, I had this really creepy old basement. My husband thinks he's funny. He used to close the door and lock it when I was down there and turn off the lights, and then he would go, Ted Bundy, down the stairs, and I would like scream and cry and like panic. Ted Bundy has been a very real part of my life for a long time, and he's terrifying. So that's a weird fact, but you know, it is what it is. In the last little bit over a year, I have talked to over 30,000 college women, over 500 presentations. Isn't that crazy? I started doing Zoom presentations, like it blew up on TikTok that I was doing these motivational talks, you know, public speaking, and I do a lot of presentations on self-confidence and, you know, taking control of your finances and the college life to real life, the biggest lessons you take away from your college experience. And I've talked to over 30,000 women. I think that's kind of a cool thing. Not a lot of people know that, so I am a motivational speaker. Who knew? Number 2, I think a lot of you know a tiny bit about this, but maybe you don't know the full truth. I was a cheerleader in high school. However, I was also a college cheerleader. It's true, I was a college cheerleader. Now, before you get all excited about it, I was not like cheer level college cheer. Back in the day, when I was a cheerleader, cheerleading is not what it is today. I mean, yes, I could tumble a little bit. Actually, that's why I'm having surgery on my foot, is because I broke my foot when I was a cheerleader and I never had it fixed properly, and now I have really bad arthritis, so that's why I'm going to have foot surgery in a few weeks. But yes, I was a college cheerleader. I am sure there's really unfortunate pictures somewhere out there of me. Someday I will find them and post them. But the one that you guys always see me sitting like this, like in the yellow uniform, that was high school. College, I was in maroon. I was a college cheerleader. And the number 1 thing you never knew about me, this is a weird one, buckle up. I actually took a dance class when I was 4 with my daughter's former dance teacher. You know her name, right? Here's the story. Her and her mom, who owned the studio, didn't have like that physical building. Her mom used to teach dance classes out of the basement of the church that my grandmother went to. And I lived with my grandparents growing up, and like I had an interest in dance. And when I was 4, my grandmother signed me up for these dance lessons in the church basement. And I went, and I remember I took 1 class, and I remembered my teacher had on a purple leotard, and she had curly brown hair, and we did a tap dance to Elvira. My heart is on fire, Elvira. And I remember that the teacher was really mean. Like, I really actually remember the teacher was mean. And what happened was that group, the mom and daughter, ended up leaving the church like that week because they were opening a dance studio, like a building in Penn Hills. And so they moved. My grandparents didn't want to drive to Penn Hills because it was far from where they lived. And so that was the end of my dance career. So if all things had worked out differently, Kelly was in the very first, ALDC dance company. I would have been a few years younger had I been dancing there. I would have probably known Kelly since we were kids. So it would have been like how Chloe and Paige were. Isn't that weird? Didn't work out that way, but I actually did take a dance lesson with, yes, my daughter's former dance teacher. Weird. And I took a dance lesson here or there at like a community center. I never was a dancer, but yeah, isn't that weird? Those are 10 things that you never knew about me. I hope this video was fun. Leave a comment below which one surprised you the most, and I will see you back